Chapter 7 of The Bear Family at Home. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Holland. The Bear Family at Home by Curtis Wilbur. Chapter 7. The Story of the Little Split-Nosed Bear That Would Not Mind His Papa. You remember that the little bear that had his nose split by the great circular saw lived with a man who owned a large sawmill. For a long time after the little bear had his nose sawed in two, he kept away from the mill. He said to himself, "I will never go in that mill to be hurt again, and I will mind my papa," for his papa had told him to keep out of the sawmill. But one day the little split-nosed bear was playing with a dog that belonged to the man who owned the sawmill. The split-nosed bear was having a fine time playing bear hunt. The little split-nosed bear was playing the bear, and the little dog was playing that he was a big bloodhound dog running after the bear. The dog was really a very small dog, white with brown ears and a stubbed tail. You see, he lived in a sawmill too. The little split-nosed bear would growl, 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 and the little dog would run away as if he was terribly frightened. Then the dog would run after the little split-nosed bear and bark, and he could bark very, very loud for so small a dog. Bow, wow, wow! Bow, wow, wow! Then the little split-nosed bear would run away just as if he was terribly frightened. Then the little split-nosed bear would hide, and it would take the dog a long time to find him. They were having a splendid time jumping around the split-nosed bear in dark places when the little split-nosed bear ran into the sawmill, for he was playing so hard that he forgot all about the saw and what his papa had told him. The little dog was so close to the little split-nosed bear that the little bear ran as fast as he could and jumped up onto an iron platform that looked just as if it were made on purpose for a little bear to jump up on. And there the little split-nosed bear stood looking down at the dog and growling, growling at him. The little dog jumped up as far as he could and bit the split-nosed bear on his heel. Then the little split-nosed bear whirled around like a flash, and what do you suppose happened? Ouch! 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 And such growling and howling and squealing you never heard. Then the little dog ran away as fast as he could, for he was really nice. He was "Ki-yi! Ki-yi! Ki-yi!" he howled as he ran out of the door. The papa bear heard the noise. He was afraid that the split-nosed bear was really killed this time, so he ran as fast as he could to the little bear, and what do you suppose he saw? There was the little split-nosed bear rolling about on the floor, and up on the iron platform where he had been playing was a little brown bear's ear. Oh, how sorry the papa bear felt to think his poor little bear had lost his ear, just because he had forgotten to do as his papa had told him to do. You see, the little split-nosed bear had been standing on the iron platform of a band saw. What he thought was a strap whirling around two wheels was really a saw. When the split-nosed bear had turned around quickly, his ear had come against the saw, and it was sawed off quicker than you could. I am so sorry. Zip and a buzz. The papa bear licked the stump of the ear and said, "I am so sorry, dear little split-nosed bear, that you forgot and did not mind your papa." As soon as he could talk, the little split-nosed bear said, "I'll always mind my papa after this." The papa bear put him to bed, but his ear hurt so that he wakened several times in the night. After the little split-nosed bear got well, they always called him the little one-eared bear that would not mind his papa. "This is the end of my story about the little split-nosed bear," said the papa bear as he finished. "Now, little cub bear, run to bed in the back of the cave and go to sleep as quickly as you can." The little cub bear ran quickly to bed and went to sleep in the dark alone, for he wanted to be a brave little bear. But after he had been sleeping a while, he talked in his sleep and said, "Can you mind my papa?" Then he felt of his ear and moaned. Can you guess what the little cub bear was dreaming about? The next morning the little cub bear wakened very early, and as soon as he had rubbed his eyes, he wondered if any of the animals would come that day. He listened. The circus bear listened, and Susie Bear listened. Pretty soon they heard something coming up the path, and the little cub bear rushed to the mouth of the den to see what it was, and he said, "I see a very strange animal coming up the path. It has the most beautiful fur I ever saw, ever so much finer than bear's fur. And the animal looks something like Mr. Badger, only its fur is all one color, and it has the funniest tail, almost as big as a shovel, flat and broad." Just then the owl saw the animal and said, "Hoo!" But the animal didn't answer at all, except he gave 2 slaps with his broad flat tail on the ground. And the circus bear said, "I know who that is. That is Mr. Beaver. Ask him to come in." Mr. Beaver came to the door, and the little cub bear said very politely, "Come in, Mr. Beaver." The beaver came in, and the little cub bear said, "We are going to try to build a house big enough for all the animals, so if they come to see us, we will have a place for them to stay. Can you help us?" And the beaver said, "I will be very glad to, because your brother was very good to me when we were in the circus." The little cub bear said, "What can you do?" And the beaver said, "I can build dams across streams so as to make beautiful lakes such as they have in parks. And I can build a nice round house in the lake to live in, and large enough for a little bear to live in, to play in, and only get inside without getting wet." And the cub bear said, "That would be fine, because we could have a park for the animals to play in, and some of the animals would rather live in the water anyway than live in a cave." So the beaver said, "All right, I will make you a dam and a beautiful lake." So they all went down to the stream, and the beaver went up to a tree, and he commenced to bite it. He bit, and he bit, and he bit, and the chips just flew. And he bit, and he bit, and he bit, and the chips just flew. And the first thing they knew, the tree fell over. Then he went to another tree, not a very large tree, only about so thick, 3 inches. Then he went to another tree, and he bit, and he bit, and bit, and the first thing they knew, that tree fell over. So he kept on until he had cut down a great many trees, and then he took the water and put them in the stream, and he put in leaves, and then the water began to rise higher and higher, and the beaver kept piling in leaves and trees, and soon he had a high dam clear across the stream. The next morning, when they looked, the water had filled up above the dam and made a beautiful lake. Soon the beaver went to work and made a house out of mud. He used his 4 feet like hands, walking on his hind feet, and he used his flat tail to make a beautiful mud house, big enough to live in himself, and big enough for little cub bear to get in, if he could only get in without getting wet. Could you make so nice a mud house? And the little cub bear said, "Thank you, Mr. Beaver," very politely. "I am very glad my brother was good to Mr. Beaver in the circus." As soon as they had seen the dam built by the beaver, all of the animals could work to make the cave larger, because it was much too small for the animals that were already there, and the elephant could not get in at all. At night they were all very tired, but as soon as the papa bear sat down, the little cub bear ran over and got as close as he could to his papa and asked him to tell another story about the little one-eared bear that would not mind his papa. So although he was very tired, the papa bear began the story of End of Chapter 7. Chapter 8 of The Bear Family at Home. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Elizabeth Holland. The Bear Family at Home by Curtis Wilbur. Chapter 8. The one-eared bear that would not mind his papa. You remember that the little bear had promised that he would not go into the sawmill at all. But one day the little one-eared bear was very lonesome. He wanted to go into the mill, but he remembered that his papa had told him again that very morning that he must be sure to keep away from the sawmill. He thought a while, and then he said to himself, "Papa didn't tell me to keep out of the planing mill. I think that I will go in there." Now, the planing mill was just as the one-eared bear knew itself, and the little one-eared bear knew this. But you see, he wanted to go in, and so he went in anyway. What do you suppose happened to the one-eared bear this time? He played for a while and had a very fine time. He enjoyed it so much that he said he would come again. He liked to see the wheels go round and round with a whiz and whir. Just then the little one-eared bear saw a funny machine with a thing buzzing around that looked like a roller, such as a cook uses to roll out cookies with. The little bear said, "I want to feel the wind that must be made by this roller going so fast, but I'll not get close enough to touch the thing, for I might get hurt, and I don't want to get hurt again." So the little one-eared bear reached out his paw very carefully, closer and closer. Ouch! Had touched the sharp, such howling and squealing you never heard. What do you think happened? The little one-eared bear had touched the sharp knives or planes that whirl round and round in a planer. You see, they go around so fast that you cannot see them at all, for they look just like a solid roller. Well, the poor little one-eared bear's foot was bleeding and looked terrible. The papa bear heard the little one-eared bear's howling and ran into the mill as fast as he could, and there he saw that the little one had lost all the toes of one foot. The papa bear licked the little one's foot and did everything that he could to make his little bear feel better, but he could not put back those poor little toes. The little one-eared bear was very, very sorry too. Once he whimpered and told his papa that he was ever so sorry that he had not done as his papa had told him to do, or never again do anything that his papa told him not to do. But that didn't make his toes grow again. The little one-eared bear went to bed that night, but he didn't sleep very well because his foot hurt him so much. After a long while the foot healed so that the little bear could walk around, but he always limped as long as he lived. He said that he could never again forget to do as his papa told him to do, because every step that he took he remembered that foot and how he had lost all his toes by not doing as his papa told him. After that they didn't call the little bear the little one-eared bear anymore. They always called him, what do you suppose? The clubfoot bear. When the little cub bear's papa had finished telling the story of the little one-eared bear, the little cub bear said, "I think that it is best to do what papa says." And the papa, "Now run back into the—" "That's right, dear little cub. Now run back into the cave and go to sleep." The little cub bear ran quickly to the back part of the cave, where it was all dark, and went to bed on some roots and brush, and was soon asleep. When he was fast asleep, he talked in his sleep and said, "I am always going to do what my papa tells me to do." And then he felt one of his paws and moaned, a sad little moan. Can you guess what the little cub bear was dreaming about? The next morning the beaver and the owl and the monkey were talking together, and the beaver said, "I am going down to live in that beautiful mud house that I made yesterday in the lake. The house has several rooms inside, and the door is under the water. I can swim out there and then dive under the water and come up inside the house. No one could find me in there with my tail. The lake or working on the dam, if I see anyone coming, I will jump into the water and hit the water 2 great slaps with my tail." And the monkey said, "Yes, I know how that sounds. That sounds just like a gun." The owl said as soon as he saw anyone coming, he would say, "Hoo! Hoo!" And the monkey said that he thought he would go out every morning and see if he couldn't find some of the animals and bring them up to the cave and see if they would like to live there in the cave, if it could be made big enough for them. So the beaver went down to the dam to work, and the monkey went out to see if he could find any of the animals, and the old owl flew up into the tree and sat out on the end of a dead limb and waited. Before very long, the little cub bear heard bang! Bang! He knew the beaver had seen some animal coming and had struck the water with his tail. So he ran to the large animal it was. Soon he heard a rustling noise and looked down the path. "I see a large animal coming," he said. "He looks very fierce. He is as large as a large bear, but he is yellow all over and has long shaggy hair all over his head and beautiful large eyes and a long tail with a tassel on the end of it." Just then the owl saw this animal and said, "Hoo! Hoo!" The animal opened his mouth and gave the most awful roar, 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 roar you ever heard. It frightened the little cub bear so that he didn't stop to hear what the circus bear said or find out what kind of an animal it was at all. But he ran clear back in the very back of the cave into Jenny's room, and there he waited, almost frightened to death. As soon as the little cub bear got over his fright of the mountain, air blowing through a crack, it seemed to come right out of the mountain. He did not understand and thought he would ask his brother about it. Just then the circus bear said, come out, little cub bear. Don't be afraid. The animal is a lion, and he won't hurt you because he is a tame lion and is a very good friend of mine." So the little cub bear came out and went to the mouth of the cave, just in time to meet the lion and the monkey, and he said very politely, "Come in, Mr. Lion." And the lion came in, and the little cub bear said, "We are going to try to build a house big enough for all the animals, so if they come to see us, we will have a place for them to stay. Can you help us?" And the lion said, "I would be very glad to help you if I could, because your brother was very good to me when we were in the circus." And little cub bear said, "What can you do?" "Just like your I don't know. I never built a house because I always lived in the jungle where there are lots of trees and grass, and we found our houses already built, just like your den. But I will do anything you want me to. I can jump ever so far." And the little cub bear said, "That is nice. Let's see how far you can jump." Then the papa bear and the mama bear and the little cub bear and the monkey all went out to see how far the lion could jump. The owl flapped his great wings and said, "Tu-whit, tu-whit, tu-whit." The lion crept away. Then he said, "Now I will show you how I catch things to eat." And he pointed to a log of wood 10 or 15 feet away, and he said, "I will show you what I would do if that log were a deer." The lion crouched and lay as still as a little mouse, and the bears were all still, waiting to see what the lion bear said. There was not a sound in the forest. Suddenly, little cub bear saw a yellow flash through the air and heard a thud. Then he looked at the log of wood, and there was the lion on the log with his claw stuck into it. And the little cub bear said, "My, I am glad I am not a deer, and that the lion does not want me for his dinner." The animals worked all morning trying to make the cave larger, but the papa bear went off with little Susie bear to see what they could find to eat. When dinner time came, the animals all rested for a while. As they were sitting there talking, little cub bear said to the lion, "Mr. Lion, I wish you would tell me a story about the most narrow escape you ever had in your life." End of chapter 8.